At my parents' anniversary, they tried to wipe out my 12-year-old. Have you ever seen pure, unadulterated cruelty masquerading as family love? Because I have. I watched my own parents, at their anniversary party no less, publicly crown my niece their golden child, then turn to my daughter and call her the dumb one, right before announcing she'd inherit absolutely nothing. The twist? They had no idea I was about to drop a bombshell that would cost them everything. Alright, so, let's rewind a bit. This story isn't just about a single night of injustice, it's about a lifetime of it, finally reaching its breaking point. It started innocently enough, or so it seemed. My parents had this habit, a long-standing tradition, really, of constantly putting my 12-year-old, Aleliana, down, while simultaneously hoisting her cousin, Sophia, onto a pedestal. It was like a cruel, silent competition Aleliana never even knew she was in, and certainly never asked to be. Their anniversary party was supposed to be a soft night. You know, cake, some forced smiles, maybe a few awkward photos. Aleliana, bless her heart, treated it like a mission. She got dressed early, fixed her hair twice, and told me, "I'm going to record it for memories." My heart ached a little even then because she said it like she already knew good memories in our family don't just happen. You have to literally capture them before they vanish. The second we walked in, my gut clenched. I knew what kind of night it would be. Sophia, my sister Daniela's daughter, was already the center of attention. People swarmed her, taking pictures like she was a celebrity. Daniela and her husband Brandon stood behind her, beaming like proud managers. Aleliana, ever the optimist, held her phone up anyway. Hope, as they say, is stubborn. We weren't even seated before my dad delivered his first little jab. He walked past, glanced at Aleliana's phone, and said, with that condescending chuckle he reserves for me and mine, "Careful, sweetheart. Try to keep up." Aleliana just gave that polite little laugh, you know, the one kids do when they're trying so hard to be easy. Then my mom swooped in, kissed Aleliana's cheek, and started, "There's my little." She paused, looked Aleliana up and down, and finished with, "Helper. Not granddaughter. Not sweetheart. Helper." Aleliana's smile twitched, but she held it. Dinner started, the room got louder, phones went up everywhere. A videographer circled, like a shark with a fancy camera. Then the slideshow. 20 photos of Sophia, beaming center stage, collecting awards. And one, just one, of Aleliana mid-sneeze. I saw her see it. Her phone dipped, not slowly, not politely, but fast, like her body reacted before her brain could even register the insult. She tried to adjust it, like she could somehow fix that image. My heart broke for her in that moment. Then my dad took the microphone. He did the whole 40-year speech, then smiled like he was about to bestow some great generosity. "Tonight," he boomed, "we're also celebrating the future of this family." Daniela's hand landed on Sophia's shoulder. Sophia smiled, a little too perfectly, like she'd rehearsed it. My dad then declared, loud and clear, "Sophia will inherit the house." Applause erupted. Then my mom, smooth as ever, took the mic. Her smile was bright, camera-ready. "And the family trust," she chirped, "the $280,000? That goes to Sophia, too. All of it. Aleliana is not included." More applause. People actually cheered. Like inheritance was a talent show. Aleliana's phone stayed up for a second longer, as if waiting for someone to say her name. No one did. As my parents walked away, my dad leaned toward a guest, chuckling loud enough for the microphone to pick it up. "You know how it is. One's the genius, and the other one's the dumb one." Aleliana's phone dropped so fast the camera caught the tablecloth. Not slowly, not politely. Her body just reacted. The room laughed. Not everyone, but enough. That relieved, "Thank God it's not me" kind of laughter. Aleliana froze. Perfectly still. As if by disappearing, she could make it easier for everyone. I didn't cry. I just got up. I smiled. And I said that my daughter was. Now, to understand what happened next, you need to understand something crucial. This wasn't a one-off. My parents didn't wake up that morning and decide to be cruel for fun. This dynamic, this constant belittling, had been their MO for decades. They just got more comfortable doing it to a child once they realized a child couldn't fight back. In my family, there's always been a scoreboard. My sister Daniela? Top of the list.
Me?
Somewhere near the bottom. Barely on it. I was 15. Sunday dinner. My dad asked Daniela about school, and she reeled off grades like a grocery list. My mom beamed. That's my girl. Then my dad turned to me. And Maya, he said, how's everything? Not school, not friends, just everything. Like my entire existence was a general concern. I'm fine, I replied. He leaned back, smiling like he was being kind. Just try not to fall behind. Daniela's going places. Everyone laughed. Not mean, not on the surface. We're a family. This was normal laughter. I laughed too, because I'd already learned a rule. If I react, I'm making a scene. If I stay quiet, I'm mature. So I got really good at being mature. I swallowed. I smiled. I disappeared. I got pregnant young. Aleliana's dad left early and quietly, the way some people do when they don't want to be the villain in their own story. He just faded. So it was me. I worked. I raised Aleliana. I learned how to stretch time, money, and patience. I signed forms with one hand while stirring pasta with the other. I became the kind of mom who could do a grocery run and a parent-teacher meeting in the same hour and still remember to pack snacks. But my family? They didn't see competence. They saw a cautionary tale. The comments started gentle, then sharpened. Well, if you'd waited, kids need two parents. That's why she's behind. It's different when you have structure. And Daniela would sit there with Brandon and Sophia, nodding like she understood empathy, all while benefiting from every single comparison. Then Aleliana started struggling with reading. Not, she hates homework struggling. Real struggling. The kind that shrinks a child's confidence day by day. She'd stare at pages like the words were shifting. She'd lose her place, then get mad at herself like it was a moral failure. One night, she slammed her book shut and whispered, "Why can't my brain just work?" That sentence, it stays with you. So I got her evaluated. Dyslexia. Not rare, not shameful, not a death sentence. Just a different brain doing its thing in a world that likes everything neat and linear. Aleliana is smart, sharp, funny. She remembers details from a conversation I had 3 weeks ago that I forgot 3 minutes after it ended. She connects patterns. She's creative in ways that make adults blink. She just doesn't process letters the way my parents think smart looks. My parents didn't respond with curiosity. They responded with judgment, dressed up as concern. Oh, my mom would sigh. That's hard. Last year, at a holiday gathering, Aleliana tried to read a card out loud, slowly, carefully, because she was trying. Someone laughed loudly. "Honey, take your time. We'll be old by the time you finish." A few chuckles. Sophia snatched the card. "I can do it," she said, bright and confident. The room clapped like Sophia had just rescued everyone from a burning building. I looked at my parents, waiting, hoping. Maybe this time. My mom just smiled and said, "See, that's what confidence looks like." Aleliana didn't cry until we got in the car. Halfway home, she asked quietly, "Mom, am I stupid?" I pulled over so fast, I almost locked the seatbelt. I turned to her, my voice shaking. "No," I said. "You're not stupid. You're different. Different isn't bad." That was it. That was when something snapped inside me. It's one thing to tolerate cruelty aimed at me. I've had practice swallowing it. It's another entirely to watch it land on my child and call it love.
But there was someone who saw.
Grandma Elena. My mom's mother, but she wasn't like my mom. She didn't perform kindness. She was kind. There's a world of difference. In her last months, I visited her more often. Aleliana loved Grandma because Grandma didn't talk to her like she was fragile. Grandma talked to her like she was a person. One afternoon, Aleliana was trying to read one of Grandma's recipe cards. She stumbled, her face tightening, bracing for disappointment. Grandma covered the card with her hand.
"Pause," she said.
Aleliana looked up. Do you know what smart people do? Grandma asked. Eleliana shrugged. They ask for what they need, Grandma said. And they don't apologize for it. Then she read the card with her, slowly, calmly. No sighs, no jokes, no comparisons. When Eleliana left, Grandma looked at me. They're doing it again, she said. I didn't ask what she meant. I knew. They did it to you, she added. And now they're doing it to her. I tried to laugh it off, because that's what I do when I don't want to cry. Grandma didn't laugh. She leaned forward. Promise me something.
What?
If they ever humiliate that girl publicly, if they try to cut her out like she doesn't matter, you don't sit there and take it. I blinked. Grandma, promise me. I promised. A week later, I visited her again. She looked tired, but her eyes were sharp. She gestured to a stack of documents on her side table. I won't pretend I knew what they were. My family's idea of bonding is not explaining paperwork. But Grandma tapped the stack and said quietly, I'm putting protections in place. For what? I asked.
For your daughter, she said.
And for you. Then, almost as an afterthought, she added, because your mother likes to pretend she doesn't know what's happening, and your father likes to pretend cruelty is honesty. I swallowed. They'll be furious. Grandma's mouth twitched. Let them. 8 months later, Grandma died. My family grieved loudly, posted tributes, talked about how close we all were, which is always fascinating to hear from people who forget my child's birthday but remember Sophia's award schedule. A few weeks after the funeral, there was a knock at my door.
Evening.
Eleliana was watching cartoons. I opened it to a man in a coat, holding a leather folder. Miss Maya Friedman? Yes. I'm Mr. Caldwell, he said. I represented your grandmother. My stomach dropped. My first thought was debt, or a mistake, some adult mess that would land in my lap because that's just how life works. Mr. Caldwell's eyes flicked toward the living room where Eleliana laughed. He lowered his voice. May I come in? I let him. He didn't sit. He just stood at my kitchen counter, like he didn't want to take up space, like he understood that walking into someone's home with paperwork is invasive, even when necessary. He opened the folder, sliding a sealed packet toward me. Your grandmother left this for you, he said. And she was specific about why. I stared at it. Official. The kind of thing people assume only rich families have. Spoiler. Rich families don't have fewer feelings. They just have better stationery. What is it? I asked. It's a recent amendment, he said. Signed shortly before your grandmother passed. My throat went dry. Why would she? Because she was aware of what was happening, he said simply. We both knew. He tapped the packet. Your grandmother's trust owns the deed to the house and holds the funds. Your parents benefit from it. They don't control it the way they like to act like they do. That sentence, it settled something in me. A missing piece. My parents always spoke about that house like it was a crown, like they could just hand it to Sophia over a microphone. Mr. Caldwell continued. This amendment only matters if they ever try to cut your daughter out in a way that can't be denied. Something documented. An email, a written statement, a recorded announcement. I stared at him. Why that kind of trigger? He didn't smile, but something in his eyes softened. Because your parents are careful. They say things just softly enough to rewrite them later. Your grandmother didn't want this turning into a, he said, she said situation. He pushed the packet toward me. You're not meant to threaten them with this. You don't wave it around. You keep it safe. I swallowed. And if they do it? Mr. Caldwell's voice dropped slightly. Then the trust does what your grandmother designed it to do. He didn't explain every detail. He didn't need to. He gave me the instruction and the tool. Then he left. I stood in my kitchen, holding that packet like it was both a shield and a grenade. I didn't want to use it. I didn't want to be the kind of person who brings paperwork to a family event. But when the anniversary invitation arrived, with celebrating our legacy in glittering script, my stomach did that slow, familiar sink. So I put the folder in my bag, just in case. And then we walked into that room full of cameras, and my parents did it. Out loud. When I stood up at that dinner, I didn't feel brave. I felt steady. Like my body had decided we weren't doing fear tonight. My parents were mid-applause, mid-performance. Daniela was smiling like a statue. Sophia looked thrilled and slightly overwhelmed, the way kids do when adults turn them into trophies. Aleliana stared at the tablecloth like it had become the safest place to put her eyes. I forced myself to speak before I could overthink it. My brain narrated uselessly. Apparently my brain likes drama too. I smiled, because the smile matters.
A smile is disarming.
A smile is also a warning wrapped in politeness. And I said, loud enough for the microphones, the phones, the videographer. My daughter was. The room didn't stop all at once. It was more like a wave hitting a shoreline. A few claps died midair. A laugh got stuck in someone's throat. The videographer angled toward me, instincts kicking in. My dad blinked slowly. My mom's hand tightened around her champagne flute. I didn't give them time to build momentum. Named a beneficiary, I added, of Grandma Elena's trust. I wasn't about to let this turn into a vague argument. The trust that owns the house. The trust that holds the $280,000. Silence. Not polite silence. The kind where people hold their breath because something is about to break. My dad stepped forward like he could physically push my words back into my mouth. Maya, he said, voice low, sit down. Not what do you mean? Not is Aleliana, okay? Just control. My mom smiled too brightly. Sweetheart, she chirped, you must be confused. Daniela stood up, so fast her chair scraped. Brandon's hand went to her elbow like he was managing a PR crisis. Sophia looked around, confused, because kids can sense when adults are lying, even if they don't know what the lie is. I pulled the folder from my bag and held it up. I didn't open it. I didn't read paragraphs. I just held it long enough for the people nearest me to see the heading and Grandma Elena's signature at the bottom. My mom made a small, sharp inhale, like she'd been slapped. My dad's face went an unhealthy shade of gray. That's not. Daniela started. Brandon cut in loud. This is inappropriate. I almost laughed because yes, Brandon, it is inappropriate. So is publicly erasing a child with a microphone. But sure, let's discuss manners now. My dad's voice rose. Where did you get that? From Grandma's attorney, I said calmly. After the funeral. My dad shook his head. That's impossible. We're the trustees. You were, I said, and watched that word land. My mom's smile wobbled. Maya, we were speaking generally. We didn't say Aleliana gets nothing. I nodded toward the sea of raised screens. You want to tell all those cameras you didn't say it? Then I looked at Aleliana. Her phone was still on the table, angled wrong now, not recording. She held it like a shield. Her eyes were huge and wet, but refusing to spill. I wasn't going to let this become another memory she'd have to survive. This isn't about interpretation, I said. You said it out loud. My dad's hand twitched toward the folder. Instinctively, I stepped back. Not dramatic, not scared, just protective, like you do when someone reaches for your child. Daniela started talking fast, like speed could outrun reality. You're doing this because you're jealous. You've always. No. I cut in. I'm doing this because you called my kid the dumb one in front of a room full of cameras and then announced she gets nothing. The room shifted. People looked at each other. Someone's face tightened in discomfort. Because even if they'd laughed earlier, no one likes being reminded they laughed. My mom's voice went shrill. We never. You did, I said. And tonight is recorded. That's why Grandma wrote it the way she did. My dad's jaw worked like he was chewing on something bitter. What does it even mean? Someone at a nearby table whispered. I kept it short, human, clear. It means, I said, you don't get to cut Aleliana out and keep living off Grandma's trust like it's your personal trophy shelf. I saw my dad's nostrils flare. He leaned forward. You're humiliating us. I tilted my head. Yes, I said quietly. Funny how it only counts as humiliation when it happens to you. My mom's eyes flashed. You're ruining our anniversary. I glanced at Aleliana, then back at them. You ruined a 12-year-old, I said. I'm just refusing to participate. I didn't stay to argue. I didn't stay to be baited. I didn't stay because my daughter was still in the room, and the point was never to win a fight in front of her. I turned to Aleliana, held out my hand, and said, "Let's go home." She stood so quickly her chair nearly tipped. As we walked away, my dad called after me, voice sharp and loud, meant for every phone. "This isn't over. We'll contest it." I didn't turn around. I just said over my shoulder, "Good luck saying you never said it when you said it into a microphone." And we walked out. We didn't make it to the parking lot before my phone started vibrating like it was possessed. My dad, my mom, Daniela, Brandon, even a relative saved as Aunt Renee. Yes, we can name at least one enabler in this story. Aleliana walked beside me, bracing for impact. In the car, she stared out the window and whispered, "Am I in trouble?" That question hit me harder than anything my parents said. "No," I said immediately. "You're not in trouble. You did nothing wrong." She nodded, still tense. "Did I ruin their night?" she asked. I let out a short, dry laugh. "Honey, they ruined their own night. They've been practicing for years." That made her mouth twitch, like she almost smiled, then stopped herself. When we got home, I made hot chocolate like it was a spell. Aleliana sat stirring and finally asked, "What does beneficiary mean?" "It means," I said, "Grandma wanted you protected." Aleliana stared into the mug. "Because I'm dumb?" My chest tightened. I crouched, so we were eye level. "You are not dumb," I said. "You're 12. You're funny. You're stubborn. You have dyslexia. Reading is harder sometimes. That doesn't make you less." She swallowed. "I don't want them to hate me." "I know," I said, and I hated that I knew. When Aleliana finally fell asleep, I sat at my kitchen table, pulled up the clip from the anniversary, and emailed it to Mr. Caldwell. No speech, no explanation, just the video. At 6:12 a.m. the next morning, my email pinged. Subject: Confirmation of notice receipt. Elena Family Trust. That's the kind of email that makes your stomach drop even when you asked for it. I stared at it, then opened it. Short, clean, professional. He confirmed receipt of the message and video clip. My dad's toast, my mom's laugh. That goes to Sophia, too. All of it, floating in a room full of applause. Then one sentence that made my hands start shaking. The triggering event occurred on record. Administrative steps will begin today. Administrative steps. 2 words that sound boring until they're aimed like a weapon. At 7:03 a.m., my phone rang. My dad. I didn't answer. He called again and again. Then a voicemail. His voice was calm at first, which is always when he's the most dangerous. "Maya," he said, "I need you to stop whatever you think you're doing. This is a misunderstanding." Then his calm snapped. "If you don't fix this, you will regret it." I saved the voicemail. Not because I'm petty, but because I'm a single mom, and single moms don't survive without receipts. At 8:20 a.m., Daniela texted a long paragraph that began with, "I can't believe you would do this to Mom and Dad." I stared at it. Something in my brain just went quiet. Not numb, just done. I typed back one sentence. "You watched them do it to my child." Then I put my phone face down. Because here's what I've learned. Arguing with people who don't want truth is like trying to teach a cat algebra. It's not happening, and you'll just end up scratched. They didn't wait long to escalate. That afternoon, Aleliana's school called. "Hi," the receptionist said, cheerful, unaware she was delivering a grenade. "We just wanted to confirm Aleliana's grandmother and grandfather are here to pick her up." My lungs went cold. "What?" I said. "They said it's an emergency," she added. "They're listed as family on her file." Of course they were. Years ago, when I still believed in family, I put them down as emergency contacts. I hadn't updated it yet because my life is a rotating list of things I haven't updated yet, including my stress levels. I gripped the phone so hard my fingers hurt. "Do not release her," I said, voice sharp enough to slice. "I'm on my way." I left work early, drove like my heartbeat was steering. When I got to the school office, my mom was standing there with that bright smile she uses when she wants strangers to think she's kind. My dad stood beside her, rigid, already irritated that the world wasn't bending. Aleliana wasn't there yet. Thank God. My mom turned when she saw me. Too sweetly. Maya, we just wanted to talk to her. My dad cut in. We're her grandparents. I walked right up to the counter and looked at the receptionist. Remove them, I said. From her file right now. My mom's smile faltered. Maya, don't do this. My dad's voice dropped. You're making this worse. I looked at him. No, I said. You did that. You just tried to corner my child at school. My mom's eyes flashed. We're family. I laughed once, small, sharp. You don't get to use that word after last night. My dad leaned closer. We can handle this privately. You had your chance, I said. You chose a microphone. The receptionist looked like she wanted to disappear behind the printer. My mom's voice trembled. We weren't going to hurt her. I stared at her. You already did. Then I turned to my dad. Leave. He puffed up. Excuse me? Leave. I repeated, calm. Or I'll ask the school to call security. My dad's face reeled with the shock of being denied control in public. He opened his mouth. Then he looked around. Parents walking through the office, the receptionist watching, the world witnessing. He swallowed his rage.
Fine, he snapped.
We'll handle this another way. And they walked out. When Aleliana came down a minute later, she saw my face and froze. What happened? She whispered. I knelt in front of her, smoothing her hair back. My hands were shaking, but I kept my voice steady. I changed your school pickup list, I said. Only me. Okay. Aleliana nodded, eyes wide. Did they, or were they? They wanted to talk, I said. They don't get to surprise you anymore. She swallowed. Then, very quietly, I'm sorry. I felt my chest crack. No, I said immediately. No, you do not apologize for adults making choices. She leaned into me like she'd been holding herself up by stubbornness and finally ran out. I held her in the school office. I didn't care who saw. Let them record that. 2 weeks later, a thick envelope arrived by certified mail. Not to me, but to them. I know because Aunt Renee texted me a photo, like it was gossip she couldn't wait to deliver. There was a bright green sticker, signatures, official stamps. Printed across the top in bold. Notice of trustee removal. Elena Family Trust. Below it, notice of termination of occupancy benefit. A fancy way of saying, you don't get to live there anymore. My hands went cold. In a satisfying way. My phone rang 10 minutes later. My mom. I answered. Her voice was already in full meltdown. Maya, this is insane. This can't be happening. In the background, I heard my dad yelling. Actual yelling. Not his controlled, polished anger. Real panic. I stayed quiet, letting her talk herself out. We didn't mean it, she pleaded. We didn't mean Aleliana gets nothing. We were celebrating. You were performing, I said calmly. Maya, please, she begged. Call Mr. Caldwell. Tell him to stop this. I exhaled slowly. I can't, I said. And even if I could, I wouldn't. Her breath hitched. You're punishing us. No, I said. I'm protecting her. My dad's voice cut in from the background, loud enough for the phone to pick it up.
She planned this.
She's always been bitter. My mom whispered, stop, to him, like she was trying to manage a fire with a paper towel. Then she came back, voice trembling. We're going to contest it. I kept my voice flat. You can try. We'll tell them you manipulated her. My mom snapped, desperation sharpening. We'll tell them Grandma wasn't well. I felt my pulse rise, but my voice stayed steady. Then you should probably stop talking, I said, because you're still on speaker and I'm still recording. Silence. Then my dad screamed something that sounded like a chair scraping. My mom's voice dropped to a whisper. You're recording me? I'm a single mom, I said. I record everything. I hung up. The official email hit my inbox 3 days later. Subject: Establishment of Subtrusts. Beneficiary allocation confirmed. I opened it, my heart in my throat. It was short, clean, no drama, just facts. 2 subtrusts established. One for Eleliana, one for Sophia. 50% each. The $280,000 divided, $140,000 into each protected account. The house, because you can't split a house like a cupcake, would be listed for sale, proceeds placed into the 2 subtrusts 50-50 once sold. A timeline at the bottom. Occupancy benefit terminated. Vacate by 30 days from notice date. 30 days. My parents had built their entire identity around that house. It wasn't just a home. It was their stage. And now, the stage lights were shutting off. I sat at my kitchen table and stared at the email until my eyes burned. Then Eleliana came in. "Mom," she asked, "are we okay?" I looked at my daughter, this kid who had been called the dumb one by adults who should have protected her, and something in me softened. "We're okay," I said. "We're safe." She nodded slowly. "Does that mean they'll stop?" I swallowed. "I can't control what they do," I said honestly. "But I can control what they get access to." Eleliana's eyes flicked up. "Access?" I smiled a little. "Yeah," I said. "Access." That night, I emailed the school again, updated every contact, every permission list, everything I should have updated earlier. Then I sent one text to my mom and dad. One sentence: "You don't contact Eleliana without me. Ever." My dad replied immediately, "You can't keep her from us." I stared at the screen and typed back, "Watch me." I later learned the video didn't just circulate. It detonated. Not because I posted it, I didn't. I had a kid to tuck in and a school pickup list to rewrite. But family group chats don't need my help. They're basically wildfire with thumbs. Aunt Renee, yes, the same one who laughed, forwarded the clip like it was a breaking news alert. Someone else added captions. Someone zoomed in on my mom's face when she said, "Eleliana is not included." Within 24 hours, half the family had seen it, and the other half was pretending they hadn't, while still forming very loud opinions. My parents tried the usual cleanup routine. It was taken out of context. It was a joke. We never said that. They even tried "Mom was just emotional," like that made the words disappear. It didn't work, because this time, their words weren't floating in the air. They were sitting in everyone's camera roll. The house sold 3 months later. It went for $1.2 million. Not a penny of it went to my parents. Not a "we'll set aside a little for you." Not a temporary stipend. Nothing. The sale proceeds went straight into the 2 subtrusts, exactly like the notice said, 50-50. So, after closing costs and fees, the trust deposited the split into the protected accounts, Eleliana's share and Sophia's share. My parents were officially, permanently, completely cut off. They lost the house. They lost trustee control. They lost the lifestyle cushion. They lost the ability to dangle inheritance like a leash. And the best part? They lost it because they couldn't resist humiliating a child into a microphone. My dad called me the day the sale finalized. His voice was calm, in that scary way, like he was still trying to pretend he had leverage. "We need help," he said. Not "I'm sorry." Not "I was wrong." Just "we need." I said, "You should ask Daniela."
Click.
Because yes, my parents went straight to Daniela. They expected their favorite to rescue them. Daniela didn't. She protected Sophia's half like it was Fort Knox and told my parents very plainly that she wasn't giving them a cent. She blamed them for triggering the clause in the first place. And then she went right back to her life, which was deeply on brand. My parents spent years teaching her that legacy is a prize and love comes with conditions. Daniela just applied that lesson to them when it stopped being convenient. After that, my parents downsized into a small rental across town. Not a tragic, living under a bridge situation. Real life isn't that cinematic. But the kind of place where nobody cares who they are. No dining room big enough to host a legacy dinner with microphones. No stage. No spotlight. No audience. Just 2 people who finally had to sit with themselves. A few years later, Eleliana was 16 and reading on her own. Still dyslexic, still brilliant. Just not ashamed anymore. As for my parents, I went no contact. They lost access to me, and they lost access to her. So, after all of that, I have to ask, did I go too far? Or not far enough? Let me know in the comments. I truly want to hear what you think.